What is poppin', squad? It's your boy Jesimein, and with the 1.8.2 patch, we have a lot of changes in the DZ as far as PvP. Now, before I get started, for the people who are going to ask, this is my work in progress tactician build that I'm probably going to release either today or tomorrow. Since Predator's Mark isn't as much as a problem, it kind of gave birth to the idea that I can actually use this build and not feel uncomfortable with it. So, first things first, let me tell you guys, man. The biggest change in the DZ was Predator's Mark. It wasn't even Nomad. The Nomad is a big change, but you don't really notice it as much as you do having not to deal with as much bleeds anymore. So going into that, what builds uprise from this? Now, I've always stated this, man. Any build that wasn't Striker or Nomad pretty much was trash because there were Predator's Marks in the servers, right? You have to worry about getting insta bled if you're running healer. You have to worry about getting insta bled if you're running any form of glass cannon that doesn't have significant heals like Nomad and Striker did. Unless you're a Predator, obviously, and you go back and forth with it. So being that Predator's Mark was taken out as far as the core thing that you had to deal with in the DZ, it opened up a lot of new routes. So first things first, the build I think obviously got like a big surplus is my Tactician build. I feel like I can use it and actually have fun with it going against Nomads and going against Strikers and going against other types of builds people are running for support reasons. I think that had the biggest change in feel for me personally, and that's all versions of it, right? It could be the healer version, it could be the support version, it could be the DPS hybrid version, which is the one I like using. I feel like it gives you a sense of I don't know, comfort knowing that you get your heals back and you don't have to worry about getting 3 bled. I mean, there are circumstances where you come across a pred and they could bleed the heck out of you and you still feel it, but it's not as bad to where you can't even run it and have fun with it. Another build that has obviously got a lot of love and people loved it before, it just wasn't the premiere, is Banshee. So if you are the person that doesn't like going rogue, it's not that big of a difference, but if you are a rogue hunter, and especially since you have to deal with as much pred, I think Banshee is one of the top builds in that, only because the amount of damage you do burst with the house or with the AR, preferably a house, but based off the preferences of people, everybody likes their ARs, everybody likes their subs. That's all good. Use whatever you want to use. But I just know from my experience, whenever I do get the chance to actually fight a level 5 manhunt, I feel the best amount of damage coming out from the house. So Banshee is good if you like rogue. It's good, period, but it's better if you're not the hyper aggressive player that likes being rogue. The benefits for being rogue are nowhere near as powerful as the benefits for going against rogues, and I think that's why it's hard for me to necessarily put Banshee up there on my type of playstyle, right? I can't speak for everybody. Some people like being, and I call them like this, I call them all the same, no matter who you are, rogue police. If you like being rogue police, then Banshee is definitely going to feel way better for you. But the thing is like a lot of players that I personally play with aren't rogue police, and they don't like hunting rogues. They don't even like seeing people go manhunt unless it's them. So it's kind of not optimal in that sense for people to run that I play with, right? I'm only speaking on my end. There's nothing against Banshee. Banshee's an amazing build regardless, just because it's raw damage. But if you want the best out of the best Banshee build, you're gonna have to basically be hunting rogues for that to be a thing. So that's good. Now if we go on to alpha, okay, I feel some kind of way about alpha because I feel it's too situational. You can basically get stripped of one of your best abilities, which is the ult, based off of who kills the person, right? So like, if let's say I can work them down to one shot, and I'm in a situation where if I get that ult, I could probably go off, but that can easily be stripped away just by a teammate or NPC or anything, any kind of damage that isn't your weapon going down. That ability is gone. So yes, alpha has good base damage. The out of cover is basically useless. And yes, you get extra talent, but there's no talent in the game, I think, that is really good enough to outdo any other talent that any of the other classifieds can actually give you, right? So the talent part isn't the biggest thing. The talent part is good, it's okay, but it doesn't have the same effect as other gear sets would. So that's why I feel alpha is better. Obviously, all the builds are better now because you don't have to deal with bleed, but I Alpha 6-piece ability isn't tuned for PvP, in my opinion. Yes, you can farm NPCs. Yes, you can sometimes get crazy attack link combos or defense combos, but not having an ult from your teammates, which takes away so much survivability, which means you can't really push safety. If you push, you better hope that you get a kill and you get your own ult, because if you get put down on one shot, you have no healing, you have no sustainability, because you have to get the best out of the 6-piece. You have to be balanced, so you can't be super tanky, and you can't be super firearms because you have no survivability. Yes, you can probably melt if you run full firearms, but I mean that you don't want to depend on your teammates for your build to work. You want to have some situations where if you're by yourself, you're good. So Alpha's okay. I would honestly rate Alpha like a B minus, C plus, B minus out of the thing. So yes, Alpha is good, it's viable, it's useful. People have been blowing me up asking me about Alpha. But if I'm being real with you guys, and you guys know that's all this content is, it's straight fresh out the room, you know what I'm saying? I keep it real no matter what. Alpha is not a build I would choose even after this 1.82 nerf to Predator in that instance. So yes, it's okay. Yes, it's good, but it's not good enough, if that makes sense. It's fun. It's refreshing. There's some creative things you could do with it. Most definitely, it is by far one of the most creative builds as far as talents. If you can, find some kind of synergy, that's amazing. But for the most part, you'll have a harder time versus other builds. Okay, so moving on to other builds that got a miraculous change. I would say Deadeye is a really, really good build now, because if you got rushed with Deadeye and you got bled, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's GG. Call it quits. It's done. Now you can kind of be, a little bit more safe when you're in a distance and you're fighting, and if you get rushed, yeah, you're supposed to die, but it's not as bad. So Deadeye got a nice little touch up as far as gameplay, and pretty much the rest of the builds are at the same thing. I mean, Final Measure is amazing already. If you want to run a server, have a Final Measure on your team. I think a Final Measure is more effective than a shield build. In my opinion, shield builds really pretty much the same thing, because they didn't really worry about Predator's Mark. Only the builds that had to deal with Predator's Mark specifically and had problems are the ones that really got a big change, right? So like the ones I would name: Tactician, really, really big; Reclaimer, really, really big; Deadeye, really, really big. Those three, I mean, you don't see too much Sentries and Hunter's Face, so I'm not going to throw them into the mix. But for the most part, those are the builds that got the biggest viable buff, right? I'm not gonna say buff, because people will say, well, they didn't change it, so it's not a buff. I'm just saying, as far as gameplay, taking Predator out the mix as a whole, not completely, but the majority of it, changed the feel of a lot of builds. And I think it's going to open up some nice creative things if people start touching on it, now that they don't have to fully spec into exotic damage resilience, right? You don't want to get bled, so that's what the main thing people were rolling. But now they can get some of those damage back, some of that skill power back, and some of those health rolls back, and they can kind of open up the field for some nice new creative builds in this new kind of meta, because the meta definitely shifted. Striker, I don't even have to say it. Striker basically, since Striker didn't get nerfed, it got buffed. And what I mean by that is it was already, in my opinion, top 2 build. Now I can solemnly say Striker is definitely going to be the bane of people. People are going to start looking at Striker as the Predator, because that's all the tryhards are going to run, and if you love Striker before, I'm not saying it's bad to run Striker. Striker's not broken, in my opinion. It's just way better than the other builds, and because it does everything. So that's kind of my synopsis on everything. As far as the viable builds, I will be making builds on everything I can touch on that pretty much feels different to me, starting with this Tactician build, and then probably ending on Striker, on what the best version I think will be after kind of testing out the DZ. I'm saying I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to kind of put that out for the people who wanted to try, Firecrest, and people want to try the, whatever combination that you weren't able to successfully use because Predators made your life hard. Any build that does not get affected by Predator feels the same. Any build that had big problems with Predator just got a natural buff overall, because Predator can get destroyed by immune station. So be on the lookout for these build videos. I hope you guys enjoy, man. I'm gonna try my best to to enjoy running these builds against these Striker people, and just so you guys can have some hope, what I'm saying, for some new builds to enjoy yourself until Division 2. So it's been real. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave me a like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you guys think got the biggest change in the DZ. What build do you think now basically got the biggest buff because Predator's gone. Let your boy know. It's been real. I'm out.